Hello guys, welcome back, and today we're finally gonna go back to Fate Remnant Collide. So let us begin. So from the last episode, we now currently see the rest of the people that don't know about Izuku's powers. Well, except for a few, because considering Yang knows it. Well, Yang knows it, and also what is his face? Let me just check his name again. Specifically Walter, as the rest of the people there that don't know about Izuku's powers, as you would say, so you must be the guy that, as he would say this. Yes, I was the one who summoned my Aprishniki to help Master out in his destruction or help of your friend here. As you look towards what's that called again? Towards Blake, as Blake would be, looking at him, as she would say this, are you a Faunus too? As she would say this, I guess you could say that. But let's just say in my world, or at least the world that I came from, Faunuses are a bit more monstrous. As after saying that, one of them would say specifically Weiss, she would say, wait, so you're from another world? She would say with a bit of a surprise. As Izuku would just say, well, kind of. It's more like they're, I guess you could say, servants. Yeah, they're essentially servants of mine. And yeah, they sort of come from another world, or at least their own version, I guess you could say. As she would say this, specifically, Blake. So you're saying that they're probably from another world? As Ivan, aka, or Rider of Ebony would say this. Yes, I guess you could say that. Though, I would prefer to call myself something of a ruler than a monster. Either way, I hope that we can be great allies. But if you ever betray Master, I'll make sure that your lives are extinguished, he would say, as electricity would start sparking out of his, out of his scepter. Yeah, essentially like that, but except, it's sparking, sparking a bit, while his tusks are also sparking. As after saying that, one of them specifically, Harmony would say this. Yeah, we ain't gonna fight. Besides, he'll probably crush us into millions of bits, she would say. Even though it sounds a bit, well, I feel angry about that, she would say. As Ivan would just say, very well. As after saying that, he would look towards, Max, as Max would say this. Not Max, I meant Rex. If you don't remember, Max was the original name for Rex. As Rex would say this. Oh, what is it? As he would say this. Master, I was wondering, what about that scoundrel? His name was Torchwick, right? As he would say this. Yeah, why? As he would say this. I'm sorry for not capturing him, though I really wanted to crush his skull in, making him pay for daring to try and trifle you. As Izuku would say this. Not Izuku, I meant Rex. No need to say things like that. And besides, he's just some, a part-time villain. And also, as you look towards, Blake, once again, as you'd say, Blake, so now that you know that he's working with the White Fang, what are you, as she would say this, I'm mad, but I want to know why is the White Fang working with this bastard, she would say, as after saying that, he would look towards her as you'd say this, I guess that does make sense, after all, you were once one of them. I mean, you're not anymore, but as she would say this. Yeah, I know. Anyways, continuing on, as you know, Izuku would say this. So, anyway, Blake, so what are we going to do now that we know that Torchwick is working with them? As she would say this. Well, to me, I want to investigate why. Why are they doing this, she would say. As he would say this. I guess that can't be helped. Though, I am wanting to at least help you, he would say. As she would say, wait, really? As you'd say, yeah. I mean, you're essentially my friend. And considering that you're basically like, well, like, one of my favorite people right now, he would say. As after saying that, she would say, wait, really? She would say with a bit of a blush, as you would say, yeah. Anyway, as you would look to the rest of his team, specifically team, wait for a second. Specifically the rest of Team Wrath, as they would say this. Yeah, after all, you're basically like our, like a partner of ours, he would say. Specifically Walter, as Tina would say this. Yeah, you're basically like our senior. Or at least kind of, she would say. As, after saying that, Harmony would say this. Yeah, I guess. Though I'm only here to just help you out, she would say. As she would basically flip, her... Actually, her kind of bangs, essentially. As, after hearing this, Blake would say, thank you guys. You really are the best, she would say. As she would look towards the rest of her team, as one of them specifically, our girl, RWBY would say this. Yeah, we'll help you out. You're basically our teammate, she would say. As Yang would say this. Hell yeah, she would say. As she would basically, punch her, puts her fist together. And as for why, she would say, very well, I'll help you out. Mostly to take down those scoundrels, she would say. As she would say this. Thank you guys. And so, this is where we're gonna be, ending off. Well, not this episode, but more like, ending off this perspective. Because this is basically the end of, season 1. But, we would go to a different perspective. We would currently see our girl, well, her, aka, Neo, as she's currently going through the streets of Vale. As while she was basically going through the streets of Vale, she would say to herself, or at least in the mind, she would say, I do miss that guy. Even though he may be one of the most scariest people to ever meet. Especially if if he, knows that I'm a criminal. But still, she would just, sigh as she would think to herself, but dang, he was a cutie, she would say to herself. As while she was saying that to herself, she would finally arrive at a large, I guess you can say manufacturing plant, instead of like a warehouse. As when she arrived, she would basically jump out of the window, or at least jump into the window, as she would, basically cause a huge scene, causing several White Fang members to basically, jump. As, one of them specifically, our boy, Torchwick, to arrive, as he would say this. Hold on, guys, he's one of us. I meant she's one of us, he would say. As, after saying that, all of the guards would basically, White Fang members would basically lay down arms as they would continue on doing their own thing. As he would say this. There you are. Seriously, how annoying, he would say. As he would say this. So where have you been? He would say. As she would basically, go onto her phone, or scroll in this case, as she would basically text it out saying, just been looking around. As he would say this. Seriously, Neo? Whatever. As after saying that, he would say this to himself. Seriously, why are we in Vale in the first place? I mean, I did take that job from her, but I was threatened into it. As while he was saying this, he would not notice, but somebody was coming up behind him. As he would say this. Goddamn brat! If I could, I wish I could just slam her face in, and as before he can actually say anything else, he would hear something what, she would say. As, he would look behind him and would see. As after he said that, he would say, "Oh, nothing, Cinder." As after saying that, she would say this. So I heard about what happened, she would say. As you would say this. Yeah, from who? As after saying that, two people would arrive. Specifically, two girls. Well, thanks to us, said a girl with greenish hair and, reddish eyes. As after saying that, another woman would step out. As she would say this. Yeah, we easily saw you last time. I can't believe it you noticed us in the balcony over there. As after saying that, the woman would be revealed to be a woman with grayish eyes, grayish, hair. Just basically wearing all gray, essentially. As after saying that, Roman would just look at them as he would say this. As he would say, great, more brats, he would say. As one of them specifically, Cinder would say this. Though it makes sense, after all, you were facing against the currently most powerful huntsman in training currently. Or at least, soon to be huntsman in training, though, he would say. And then she would say, as obviously she seems to be quite, well, impressed with our boy Max, or Rex, I meant. As after saying that, he would say this. What are you, some sort of president of his fan club or something? He would say. As she would say this. Well, no. I just know it just thanks to my friends, she would say. As he would say this. Friends? Whoever wants to be friends with you? But before he can say anything else, he would get, nearly get hit by a fireball, essentially. As he would dodge it away, as you'd say, hey! As she would say this. That's for daring to try and insult me. Though, as she would look towards him, as she would say this. Never mind. You're not worth my time. Now, as for you, she would say, for failing to try and inquire and get some of the dust that we need for our little excursion, we're going to be having one of my minions, or should I say two of my minions, to help you out. As she would point towards both the two girls. As she would say this, specifically the green-haired one. Yeah, so, you better start listening to us now. Or at least, we're just gonna be, checking if, in case of you being incompetent, she would say. As the other one would say this. Yeah, you're definitely gonna be, well, a waste of our time, said the gray-haired one. As Roman would say this. Oh, shut up, Mercury! And you too, shut up, Emerald, he would say. As both of them would say this. Such annoyances, said a somewhat annoyed Cinder. As after saying that, he would just look towards them as he would say this. Whatever, I'm gonna be busy right now. I still need to finish up some checking out some of the supply that we already gotten. As after saying that, he would leave. After doing so, one of the girls would say this, specifically the now named Emerald. So, how about the problem with Good Witch, she would say. As after saying that, one of them specifically, Cinder would say this. Well, don't worry. I already have a plan for him. And besides, if you're wondering if we're gonna kill him, no, she would say. As both of them would be surprised. As she would say this. Our mistress told us to try and capture him, saying that he would be useful, she would say with a cold tone. As she would say this, though his powers have quite been developing, though I am quite concerned with his abilities considering that he did say that his powers can be considered as world-ending. But either way, he'll be a useful pawn for us, she would say. As after that, the screen would fade to black. So, this is where we're gonna be ending off this episode. So yeah, bye-bye!